Hey everybody. Whew. Finally starting to cool off a little bit. It's still warm out, but I'm not dripping sweat this time. I'm getting some things done. I've been puttering around here. Had a doctor's appointment yesterday. Things are going well. Everything looks good. I'm continuing to lose the right weight. In just the last 2 weeks since I went and saw the cardiologist, I've lost another 7 pounds. I know some people might not think that's much in 2 weeks, but I think that's pretty good. Uh, a good sign that I'm making the right changes. And um, I got some issues with my meds taken care of that I was worried about, some conflicts. Um, so it was a good visit. The only warning he gave me is, again, where we were in hot weather, that I definitely need more water in my system with the meds that I'm taking. Other than that, I didn't get admonished for anything. I told him, it's been a few days now with no cigarettes at all, not even like one or two. Like, so it's still the early stage, but he was very happy to hear that. But it got me reflecting. In life in general and relationships and my recent uh, encounters. And I've been thinking on it and thinking on it. Again, I said I would be radio quiet because it's like things have been eating at my mind and I keep sticking on things. And unfortunately, this is another one of those, but slightly different shift. I spent over the past decade trying to woo somebody that wasn't even really going to give me a shot. And again, that's not speculation, that's evidence. Just earlier this morning, I was. All right, here's a confession. Here's accountability. I had made friends with one of their fake accounts for, keeping tabs. And I let it slide because I still felt that closeness. Like, hey, if you're watching, Party still cares. And I was talking to him this morning, keeping it casual. And they ghosted me again. And I'm like, you know what? Am I in high school? I'm getting ready to be 45 years old. I've had 3 heart attacks. I am not playing these games of back and forth and trying to figure out who's who and who wants what. And it's a bunch of bullshit. Um, but again, that's what a narcissist is. It's somebody who is emotionally immature and trapped in childhood. So I don't know why I should expect anything different. But that was kind of the clincher. That was I'm not going to make myself wait anymore. And, going back to the doctor's visit and making sure things are in the right direction. Within 3 days after, everything happened and the big breakup and all that, and I started to get hit up from people from my past. And, I've talked about this. They showed concern, they showed interest. And I'm sitting here thinking in my head, one person in particular comes to mind as part of that. And they've known me since I was a teenager, right? And we tried dating once when we were younger. And I won't say it was horrible. Things went different ways. That was around the age I started to get ambitious and try to do things with my life. And, you see how that turned out. I didn't end up going anywhere. But I think God's given me a second chance at that. And I decided this morning I'm going to take it. Again, I'm not trying to jump into I still want to heal. but I'm also going to quit ignoring it because I don't want to do to this person what my ex did to me. Because as I'm sitting here reflecting on it, this is how I know a lot of people, look at me funny when I talk about biblical concepts and then start talking about karma. I don't know what to tell you. I use the word karma because it's what most people identify, and it is, to me, the best way to describe it. But, no, karma is not actually a biblical concept, but God's justice is. And that's how I look at it, is karma is God's justice. Karma is God giving the lesson of, here's what you need to know to quit doing the stuff that you're doing that's wrong. And it hits hard, but it's very effective. And I realized that I was doing the same thing to this person that my ex had been doing to me. So I'm going to make that right, because that's who I am. And that doesn't mean I have to pursue them for a romantic relationship, but I do have to cultivate at least a friendship and correct the things that I've done to hurt them in the past. And if anything blossoms from that, great. But if not, at least I will still have a clear conscience. And that's kind of the point I'm getting to, is make choices that are going to give you a clear conscience. Move with that integrity, My end goal, again, is I want to serve God and find peace. And for me, peace is, or at least in my head, again, my plans and God's plans might not line up. But for me, peace does include a partner. I would like somebody to share some things with. I love these. You guys are saying in these videos, I'm a deep thinker. I like to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. Somebody to talk to in my life. I think that's been the worst part lately, is the fact that my thought circle has been so that's why I keep getting stuck in my head, because I haven't had people to bounce off of. Not a pity party, just again, acceptance. This is what's going on. It's making sense to me. But yeah, be very careful in the choices and decisions that you're making. Do not let yourself, again, we are pretty often our own biggest blind spot. Oh, excuse me. It's the heat. It sucks the life right out of me. I was talking the other day about, what do you have as the center focus for your decision making? For most people in the world right now, it's money, and that's not so good, because a lot of people chasing money are doing things that are going against their own best self-interest in order to pursue that chase. But a lot of folks aren't ready for that conversation yet. But anyway, back on topic. You have to focus on what matters, on what you really want out of life. That's what you had to base where your intention goes, your energy flows. And that's what you're creating in your life. So, if you want to spend your whole life doing the rat race, keep chasing it. Keep going after it. Or if you narrow it down and start deciding you want something more from life, then make that your focus. Make that your intent. Make that your core belief that all choices are based on or off of. And that's how you get to your goals. That's how you get what you're after. All this time I was plotting and planning, trying to make somebody else happy that had goals that didn't even line up. Like, our identities were completely swapped, reversed. That's why it wasn't going to work. You know, I'm very spiritual and she's very worldly. And again, that's not a dig. That's, you know, again, acceptance. This is, you know, the realness of it. So, yeah. Don't let yourself get hung up on the things that don't choose you back. Because it is a waste. A waste of time, a waste of a life, a waste of energy. It's unfortunate. But as soon as you see the trap, walk away. Walk away and course correct. Figure out what you really want out of life and pursue that. But do not let it trap you. Do not let it get you down, because that's where I was. That's where I've been the last X amount of time. I've even lost track. But I'm done being there. I'm done being in that headspace. I don't like it there. Excuse me. It's also the fact that I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, which isn't a bad thing. I've been going to bed earlier. I've been trying to get my sleep schedule, you know. It's ironic because now that I think about it, I'm back on my old work schedule, back when I was working full time, up at 4 a.m. and in bed by like 10, 11. But again, I'm teaching my body better habits, getting myself back on track. Because again, you know, I've come to the conclusion that I've been playing the game at life for too long, and it's not a game. I've been walking wrong, handling things the wrong way, and it's time to correct that. Anywho, I'm going to cut this one off a little short, but yeah, that's the thoughts. You know, again, when you're doing the whole breaking down your belief systems, make sure you put the right thing at the core, because that's going to decide everything else around it. All right? So take care of yourself. Try and keep taking care of each other. And I'll see you in the next one.